What's up guys, I'm back. I'm sorry for the delay on this video. It's just I started working for this really cool YouTube page called Air Rack. Maybe you've heard of it. It's one of the fastest growing, one of the biggest, one of the coolest pages out there. Am I mentioning my new job for clout? Yeah, I am. We're gonna get into this episode of Pachinko, and I can't wait to talk to you all about it. It's a bit late, but hopefully there's still a few of you out there that just wanted me to close out the series, and I wanted to do that for you. So, here we go. Well guys, this has been one crazy first season of Pachinko. It's been renewed. These are actually our tickets to the premiere right here. We got to hear from the show's creators, and we got to see all of the stars, and we got to see, especially for me, the thing is, I got to see people, they were so proud of what they did. From the grips and the assistants to the directors and the producers, they really turned this into something that they can be proud of, that we can be proud of, that Apple TV can be proud of. It's just a great story, and it's incredibly well acted. We're gonna get into it now. You see Noah, and he's walking with the other kids, and especially with one kid that seems to be his friend, and they're complaining about the bully. And even though that Noah is smaller, he definitely has a leadership quality to him, just like his mother is telling this boy that, hey, you just have to stand up to him. There's no way to win the fight if you always back down. Noah runs over to his father, and we learn that it is Moses' first birthday. There is a Korean tradition for a tordanchi, kind of like a name day or a christening in their culture, but basically you get items set in front of you, and whichever item the baby chooses is kind of like his fortune or his future. It'd be like if you pick the coins, you're gonna be good with money. If you pick the yarn, you'll have a long life. Exactly like Noah, who picked the yarn, and he wished he would have picked the bow and arrow, so he would have been more adventurous and all of those things. But his father, who has dealt with illness his entire life, says that there is nothing to scoff at. We get to the house, and the party is all set up, and it seems like they've made friends and their family, and they've made a life in Japan. And you know, times are hard and things are hard, but they found a way to make it work for them. Isak starts to give a long speech in which his brother says, hey, save it for the sermons, let's just get this going, right? So, right when Moses is about to choose, we cut to the opening credits. But this time, we don't have the regular theme song, we have the theme song in Japanese. Maybe it's Korean. This is a nice little add-on that says, this episode is for us. This episode is telling our story. Flashing forward to the 80s, they're all still in the hospital, and Hana isn't doing any better. In fact, she's getting way, way worse. It's progressed to a point that the doctor says that if he gives her any more morphine, the amount of morphine needed to stop her pain would just make her OD. Hana's eyes are red and yellow, and her skin is blotchy, and you can tell she's just in so much pain, and the mother is just distraught. And Moses does his best to try to comfort her, but she doesn't want to hear it. What mother would want to hear it? He can't tell her how to feel, how to react. It's her daughter, and she storms off, and Moses is left wondering, like, what do I do? He doesn't know. You can tell he wants to comfort her, he wants to do the right thing, but this is an impossible situation for the mother, for the father, for Hana, for Solomon, for Sunja. Nobody wins, because at the end of the day, Hana will die. There's no light at the end of this tunnel, and it's getting darker and darker as they go. Back in 1938, Sunja is sitting outside and watching the kids play, and that's whenever Noah runs up and says, Mom, Dad never picked me up. Sunja is super worried, and she just can't understand what's going on. He's always so dependable. Like, Isak is never late. He's like the guy that is always a driving force of dependability. That's one of his best qualities, right? So they immediately run to the church. I mean, that's where he should be, right? When they get there, they find very FBI type police officers just flipping the place. They don't care about the reaction of the Korean people that choose to worship there. They're just flipping it, looking for information. And an old man walks up and says that Pastor Isak has been taken in as a traitor. And not just that, they named him by name. It wasn't like they were coming in just looking for a traitor. They came in looking for Isak. That's a big deal right there. Yes, she's been in this country for 7 years or so, but at the same time, she doesn't read and write. She doesn't speak Japanese very well. She's trying to do her best, but she needs a lot of help. And Noah right now is the only person that can help her. So she asks in desperation for Noah to run to the factory where Isak's brother is working. He sees him and he goes, "What are you doing here?" He says, "My dad's been arrested and we need your help." So he goes to his boss, but Joseph has this unrelenting faith in his boss, and I think that that has a lot to do with the lie that the Korean people were told when they were asked to come over as workers, is that they were told they were going to be taken care of, and the truth is they were taken care of as long as it wasn't an inconvenience. Back in the 80s in the hospital, Solomon is in the hallway, and as if the day is not bad enough, Solomon is now telling his father Moses about the decision he made to tell the old lady not to sell her property. Moses trying to do his best again. I mean, I really think it's just too much for him in one day. Hannah, his relationship is stressed so much because of the death and how she left it up to him in a way to find Hannah while she was missing. By the time he finally found her, it was really too late. He's taking that very personally. I mean, who wouldn't? Korean and Japanese culture, the man of the house is supposed to take care of things. Yeah, he tried, but he didn't succeed, and he knows that that is a failure. And I think that any man that really is worth his weight would actually feel this guilt. Whether they're blood related or not, Hannah is his family, and he wasn't able to save her. They're looking at him like that, or at least he feels they are. They sent him to America when he was really young so that he could become this success story. Like, they've sacrificed so much time together, so much love, and he doesn't understand the whole story. He wasn't there. He doesn't understand what it feels like to be as educated and as worldly as Solomon. Solomon says, "But you know, it's okay. I have a new job with Yoshi-san." But his father says, "There is no way a son of mine is going to work in Pachinko," which is kind of hypocritical, right? But also, Moses was promised that everything was going to be okay. It was all going to be up, and now he has to bend the Pachinko pegs to make sure to make ends meet. Just like any father, any person that's going through all of these things with Hannah, with Solomon, all in the same day, he's not handling it correctly. If y'all are hearing a bunch of little tippy-tappy toes, that's because we found a stray dog. He's pretty adorable. Here he is right here. Hey, Stubbs. What's up, Stubbsy Wubsy? Back in 1938, the brother-in-law Sunja and Noah are all at the police station, and they're trying everything they can to get Isak out, but they say that he's being held by the higher police. Like I said, it's kind of more of an FBI than just the local police that were flipping the place. Whenever Yusuf tries to bribe the guard, he gets in trouble and it's just kind of told, you need to get out of here before things get worse. If he's innocent, he'll be out. If he's not, he'll get executed, basically. And Noah hears all of this. Noah and Sunja find this woman that was delivering food to a prisoner. They ask her, "Hey, how long has your person been in jail?" And they say 3 months. And then they go, "How long has your person been in jail?" "Just this morning." She goes, "Oh, so you're Pastor Beck's wife?" And Sunja's stunned. "What? How do you know my husband's name? How are you connected to my husband?" She says, "There's really nothing I can tell you right here, but I'll definitely fill you in if you come with me." Solomon is sitting next to Hannah in the hospital. He's just told his father the bad news. He's probably feeling like crap because he does want to be successful for the family. That's the whole thing. Everybody wants the same thing, but then no one knows the correct way to go about it. Is it worth losing who you are? Hannah basically says that she's scared and this isn't how she thought her life was going to be. Whenever they were young, she thought that she'd be in Hawaii and she would just live out her days in the sand and get to travel the world and be beautiful everywhere, which I think might have been a little bit of a problem, is that she only counted on her looks. But you know, that's just some people do that. And that's whenever she tells Solomon that the world is really a crap place, and no matter what happens, you need to take care of yourself. You don't need to worry about anybody else. You need to take care of you. And he seems like he's really taking this in as the love of his life, his best friend growing up, someone so close to him. It's really an undefined relationship, but it's everything and nothing at the same time. And you can tell that he is really taking her words to heart. And this might not be the best person to be listening to. She's kind of giving a bit of a bitter end to her saga, which I'm not saying that she's not telling the truth, but morally for him, at this moment, at this very second, he does not need to hear that. Back in 1938, Sanja's following this woman. They are going to alert a man of what has happened, and whenever they get there, they are in this dark room. They find out that, yeah, he's working with the resistance. He's a Star Wars rebel fighting for civil rights. He's trying to do what's right, but it's incredibly illegal. I mean, whenever I say incredibly illegal, it is considered the most illegal thing. It is worse than murder at that time. He is a Korean that is trying to cause an uprising in the Korean people is the way that they're going to see it. So Sanja doesn't really want to hear the crap. And they say that, yeah, he's doing it for you, he's doing it for your son. But you know what? He's not there, and now Sanja is alone. And it's starting to dawn on Sanja that she's gonna be alone. That there's no fixing this situation, that he actually did what he's accused of, and that he is not coming back. Then that's when the higher police raid the place, throw bags on everyone's head, and take everyone in. On top of all of this that's happening, Noah is there. At 7 years old, he is now learning things, and he is a part of things that he never should be. He is getting a crash course in adulthood that literally that morning he had never ever experienced in his entire life. And now his father is a freedom fighter, and he's gonna be in prison for the rest of his life, and he's the only one that can translate these things to his mother. So he has to be the buffer between all of the information so that Sanja can do her best to navigate this. As a young mother, she's not realizing the trauma that she's putting on Noah. And we'll get more into it in a little bit, but it just keeps on, it's compounding on this really, really cool, precocious young boy, like this little Sanja. Back in the 80s, Solomon took Hana's words to heart, and he shows up at Yoshi-san's office and he says, hey, you know, Pachinko, that's a cool idea. You know, I could be about Pachinko, but in reality, I have a much better idea for you. This property that this woman won't sell is still on the market, and it's still a huge market. Let's make tons of money. And he reveals that the economy is about to burst, but there's still a way to play all of that, right? Again, illegally. And Yoshi-san says, they wouldn't sell to you, why would they sell to me? And he says, well, you have your ways. This is the first time that Solomon is truly, in a way, taking his future into his own hands. However, what's the morality of this? Like, this was a woman that just a few episodes, he risked everything to help, and now he's gonna just throw her under the bus in a violent way. That's why I said that, yeah, Hana might have been right, but at that moment, at that very second, he didn't need to hear that. Back in the 30s, Sanja is being interrogated. Again, she's just really overall the bull. You know, it's like she has to shamefully admit that she really doesn't know what is going on. And if she did know that he was writing propaganda at the house, she can't read. So they let her go. They're walking out, and that's when Noah turns and he sees Isak being put in the back of a cop car and transported to another facility, and he runs, and he's small enough to get through the gate, and he tries to get all the way there, and the cops don't beat him or anything like that, but they stop him. Isak is in the back of the car. He gives Sanja this look like, this is on you now. I'm really sorry. This is never what he meant, but Noah is still young, and when the car leaves, he chases it, and what would he do if he found it? But there's nothing going to stop him from from chasing this car. He wants his father back, so he's going to chase that car. And Sunja just can't keep up with him, and they're running. And finally, Noah is just too tired, and Sunja catches up, and she sees him in the street, and she sees a bird flying away. And I think this bird is a symbol for him losing his innocence. Even worse, Sunja losing Noah. Back in the hospital, the doctor is beginning to give Hana the morphine drip, and she's asking, where's Solomon? The mother's saying, you'll always be my little girl, but she's defiant to the end, and she wants it all. And even though she just told Solomon just a few hours ago to not let anyone stop you from taking the world and making the world the way you want it to be, she says, where's Solomon? Solomon bursts in, and he has this incredible energy about him, right? He takes everything, he unplugs it, and he just starts pushing her down the hallway really fast. He's not telling anybody where we're going, but he's laughing and he's smiling. He takes her to the elevator, takes her up to the roof, and he pushes her out. He puts a lei on her and says, Hawaii. And he gives her one last tiny adventure like she always wanted. It's this joyous moment, and it's this moment when you really see who Solomon is. However, there's also this thing about how did he get the permission to do this? Is he using his newfound power, the gangster? Is this how Solomon's going to operate? Anything he wants is right from now on. And eventually, Hana passes away. And Solomon is just left there bawling, crying, and you can tell he's 100% inconsolable, and there's nothing he can do. And this beautiful gesture that he gave was exactly what it was, just a short-lived, tiny little gesture that was too late, and there's nothing that Solomon can do about that for the rest of his life. And I can only imagine what he's going through and everything. I can only imagine what they're all going through. It's just flashing back to the 30s. Sunja's asleep next to Noah and Moses. She hops up and she grabs the 2 rings that her mother gave her, and she leaves. Don't worry, Noah. I'll take care of everything now. And he rolls over like a good big brother. She goes and she obviously sells the rings, and she buys a bunch of kimchi, some for tomorrow, some for now. Kyung-yi starts to help her because she realizes what she's doing, but she knows that Yusuf is going to be very upset by this and feel very emasculated. However, Sunja doesn't really care. There's not a lot of choices, and she needs to feed these kids. And Yusuf lost his job trying to get Isak out of jail, but by going to his boss, who he had so much faith in, that really wasn't going to go up to bat for him in anything serious, he revealed too much information, and that got him fired. So now there is no more income, and Sunja is going to take it upon herself. So she starts getting the kimchi ready just like her mother taught her. She started not taking no for an answer just like her mother taught her. She is going to go out and she is going to save the day. And that is inspiring. If anybody's watching this and doesn't think that's inspiring, you need to rewatch it. Like, what is going through your mind? Okay, back in the 80s, Solomon is on the roof with Sunja, and she hands him the gold watch that she had sold. We don't know how she got the gold watch back. We do know that it was taken by Noah's father, and that he has it. So at some point they have to come back into contact. That she used to think that this watch was very unlucky. Whoever held it bared the burden of the family's misfortune. She's starting to think differently about it, and she's starting to think that it's something different, and she wants Solomon to have it. At the end of the day, that watch has saved them multiple times. It has been there for them in a weird way. It's like a clock, it's always been ticking when they need it, and that she thinks that Solomon should have this because it's not cursed. It's something beautiful, and it's something that they should treasure. And that's when we find out what he's done. He's sent thugs with dogs to intimidate and scare the woman who refused to sell her land, which is incredibly messed up. She's trying to get her education. She's sitting outside and learning her 6th grade schoolwork, and then the thugs are outside and she's too afraid to sit outside. and that's because of Solomon. Flashing back to the 30s, it's the same day that Sunja is going to the market. Noah's walking to school and Hansu walks up on him. And I'm not gonna say that Hansu gives him bad advice, it's just skewed advice. It's half of the lesson. It's don't let anyone take advantage of you. Be smarter, be stronger, be the leader, don't be the follower. These are all things that a father should teach their son. However, Hansu had a father that taught him the other side as well. He had situations that made him feel that his hardness is the only way to make it, and he had other driving forces because of the earthquake. However, his father did teach him right from wrong. Noah will not have a father to do that. Hansu walks up in his perfectly white suit, and when everyone else is in just hand-me-down clothes, you can tell that Noah is taking it in. And again, Noah has changed. This situation has changed Noah. It's traumatized Noah. He's never gonna be the same again. Just like Solomon, he is told good advice at the exact wrong moment. At the same time, Sunja is leaving to her first day at the market, and of course nobody wants the kimchi next to her. Kimchi is fermented food, it doesn't smell good, they're scared it's going to drive away their customers, and eventually she finds a place next to a butcher. She's very timid at first, but she knows she has to sell this kimchi. That if you work in the market, you're gonna have to, yell, and you're gonna have to try to hawk the goods. You're gonna have to be out there saying, I got the best kimchi, come get my kimchi. And that's what she does. She starts to take control of the situation. Next thing you know, she's selling the kimchi. Next thing you know, she's good at selling the kimchi. And that's where our episode ends. All right, so characters. This is really easy. They're all awesome. This whole show is amazing. I wouldn't have dedicated so much time to this at the beginning of my channel. Please like and subscribe to it if it wasn't so good. It's just, Moses is such a thought-provoking character as somebody that obviously has a moral high ground, but he does very immoral things, but just enough to where he can feel okay about it. And then you have Hannah, who just thought the world should be hers. And I don't know if there's anything wrong with that thought. I know a lot of people out here that just think that it should all fall into place, but in reality, it just never will. Maybe it will for some people, but those people still have to go through their own struggles. She ended up in a bad place. And then you have Solomon, who is a good person just like his father, but the pressures of trying to make life the way that they want it to be, to not be so financially insecure, it weighs on them. And it just seems like it becomes this thing that it's the driving force in life. Your morality is second. It doesn't have to be that way, and you see Solomon slowly becoming this person. Sunja is just a growing driving force that will never stop, and even as an older woman, she takes responsibility for her family. She takes everything in stride, and she's just a very, very amazing character. Like I said, I was lucky enough to go to the LA premiere of this show. I got to see a lot of the stars. I got to see the original episode, and it meant a lot to me. It really did. This was a very eye-opening experience. A lot of these struggles I didn't know about, and it's really brought to light.